Texas Right to Life has created a whistleblower website to help enforce the Texas Heartbeat bill that Governor Greg Abbott signed into law this past May. The site invites people to join their team or send an anonymous tip on how the law is being violated. They ask users to name clinics or doctors who have violated the law and to provide any physical evidence they may have of the violation. So real quick, as someone myself who identifies as pro-life, this makes me deeply uncomfortable. The idea that we would be encouraging people to tell on other individuals for their choices, to tell on clinics. And I would also assume that a law comes with some ability to enforce itself. Kim, I'd welcome your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest concern on this was, are women being outed? You know, are they going to be posting their name or something? And I don't really know if that's what this website is doing. But this law goes into effect September 1st. So Governor Abbott signed it into law in May. It starts September 1st. And it doesn't really criminalize, from what I can understand, it doesn't seem to criminalize the actual act of performing an abortion after 6 weeks, which is, catching that you're pregnant within 6 weeks. A lot of women don't know. You know, they find out when they're more closer to 8 weeks or so. But I guess what this does is it allows people to sue the providers and the person. And so I guess what these people are wanting to do is collect these names so that they can then go and start filing tons of lawsuits. But yeah, this is a total violation. But the law, that's how the law works. It's not really criminalizing it. It's saying, okay, well, people can go sue. So I guess these people are now acting as vigilantes in a way and saying, well, then we'll be the ones to take it up and start suing. So Ryan, what do you think?
Yeah, I didn't think there could be anything creepier than the law itself, which, as you said, will make it illegal for many women to have an abortion the moment they take a pregnancy test. They've already passed the window at that point, and it's not exactly suing. My understanding is this is a private right of action, which kind of means that they're deputizing all of the Texas citizens to become their own kind of posse to go out and can actually then bring serious consequences to places that are performing abortions that are outside of this patently unconstitutional law.
Well, and I think more broadly, any sort of a movement that relies on criminalizing, penalizing, and outing people rather than trying to win hearts and minds to your cause is going to be a largely ineffective one. We talked about this bill last week on the show, and I made the point that more and more Americans are trending. It's too stark to say pro-life or pro-choice, but are open to the idea of outlawing abortion at certain terms in the pregnancy as technology has advanced. So as ultrasounds have, as we have, information about the viability of babies, their ability to, in the womb, potentially feel pain. So that's made more people open to, bans after 20 weeks and that sort of a thing. So I think to the pro-life movement, I think you get a lot further trying to win people with science and with explaining to them your cause from that perspective rather than outing, shaming, and penalizing people for pursuing abortions.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I do think that people need to understand. Now, I'm staunchly pro-choice. I don't think there should be any limitation within reason. I mean, there are some, of course, I think when it comes to certain procedures or reasons potentially. But I think it's also important for people to understand that this isn't as partisan as they tend to think it is. There's a lot of people out there that think, well, all Democrats are pro-choice and all Republicans are pro-life. And it's really not like that. I know plenty of Republicans who are pro-choice, and I know plenty of Democrats who are pro-life. So this is really on both sides of the aisle. But definitely this bill, I think this is going to be challenged still. So it's still a question of whether or not this is actually going into effect. But if it does, starting September 1st, then maybe we will see a wave of these vigilante lawsuits from or whatever they're doing from this group.
And this extreme of a law is is a vanishing minority position. You're talking
right.
In the 20s or 30s support. And so the question is, does the Supreme Court, feel confident enough at this point in its hold on the court that it would be willing to uphold something that is so unpopular? And we don't know. We don't know the answer to that.
Well, and one thing also, I have a question about this bill. I don't know if either of you have the answer to it, but the time when pregnancy starts is also up for debate.
Right.
So some people think a pregnancy starts the day, I believe it's the day your period starts, is actually how they count your weeks. So a woman that's been pregnant 40 weeks, it's because they count it from like when once you've actually conceived, it's technically 2 weeks pregnant.
Right, and so there's that joke that you can't be half pregnant, but if you try to backdate it to the beginning of the cycle, then you are saying that you're half pregnant all the time. Yeah. So everybody's pregnant all the time.
Well, and one thing that I would just add to this that I think is interesting, and I've said it before on the show, I'm a federalist in the sense that I think that, what's right for California might not be right for Texas, what's right for New York might not be. And this is an example of the federalist kind of system working, where if this is what the majority of Texans want, is this heartbeat bill, this barring abortions after 6 weeks, then you know what? If you disagree with it, you also have the right to go to somewhere like California, where you can get an abortion up until, close to the end of the second trimester.
Well, but 2 points. I mean, constitutional rights, really can't be put up for a vote. But secondly, you can't talk about Texas politics and majority decisions with a straight face, because they have one of the lowest voter participation rates in the country. They have one of the highest voter suppression rates, and they're constantly trying to find ways to continue to suppress the vote. They've been spending the last year figuring out ways that they can uproot all the different balloting sites in Harris County so that there are fewer people voting. So if you don't give people a way to express their views democratically, then it's hard to say, well, this is the federalist system working because people actually support this. We don't know if they support this because they don't have fair elections, and that's aside from the question of whether you can vote on what's a constitutional right.
Well, it's a great discussion for another day, but yes.
Right. Well, and of course, you're never going to maybe totally agree on that one, but this for sure, you're right, Alyssa, you can go to another state, but that means wealthy women, upper middle class women will be able to still have access to abortions if Texas puts this law into place. But poorer women are just not going to be able to have that sort of access. It's going to be a lot harder for them. And so you're going to end up with, that's the situation. You're not really stopping this from happening. You're just preventing it for certain groups of people.
Right. And I think the one thing on this particular story that we can all agree on is the idea of outing, shaming women who choose to get abortions or doctors who choose to provide them is not the way to solve any of the problems that our country is facing. And it's absolutely the wrong approach by the Texas Right to Life.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And we'll have to leave it there. We'll have more Rising for you right after this.